Yes, tourism or visitors is a very important part of the economy of Hong Kong. And to give you some figures, in 2019, in the first half, we had daily arrivals of around 200,000 visitors to Hong Kong. At the end of 2020, that number has dwindled to less than 200 daily arrivals. We had 56 million people coming to Hong Kong in 2019 from outside of Hong Kong. That dwindled down to 3.6 million people in 2020, with 90% of that really coming in January of 2020. So it has been quite a major impact. Also, really there's no leisure trips during last year after our borders have more or less been closed. The only people who can come or want to leave Hong Kong are for family reasons or for very important business reasons. There's been really no leisure travel. So it's been a difficult period. Hong Kongers love to travel. They also love to welcome visitors, and the closures have meant that we have not had the opportunity to open our city to visitors and vice versa, and that's had an impact on the economy in Hong Kong.
Apart from the Hong Kong Tourism Board, you're also involved in Jardine, which operates travel-related businesses like airport cargo, logistics, as well as the Mandarin Oriental. Quickly, how have these businesses been impacted?
Yes, I think the logistics business has been quite resilient. So air cargo has been a lifeline for the city, because the sort of waterborne shipping obviously has also suffered difficulties in the COVID period. But our airport services business serving the airlines have, alongside all the airlines, really suffered from a lack of passengers. And our hotel situation very much mirror what Sonia has said just now, except that we are also, like Sonia's group, finding new opportunities to expand. And we have a lot of hotels in the pipeline to be open in the next 2 or 3 years. So we still are very confident in this sector. Once the COVID disease has been eliminated, we'll be able to enjoy, I think, travel like there's been not seen in the past. That is a very important thing to maintain the industry and to make sure that it's able to survive this very difficult period. The Tourism Board's normal remit is to actually go to overseas countries and to attract visitors to come to Hong Kong. But during this period when the borders are closed, we have redirected a lot of our efforts towards generating domestic consumption and domestic demand. So we created a number of new programs to boost consumption. So not everyone has been affected to the same degree by COVID-19. I think there are some people who work in more resilient sectors and they still have money to spend. So what we did was create programs to encourage domestic consumption and domestic spending. So we created what we call the Holiday at Home program. We got offers and deals on more than 15,000 merchants, restaurants, hotels, and theme parks. And then we really encouraged on our website and on our media channels the citizens to go and spend and to enjoy themselves, since they can't go overseas to travel to spend the money in Hong Kong. And it was quite successful. We followed that up by our spend to redeem free local tour programs. A lot of people in Hong Kong never really been to the attractions that our visitors into Hong Kong actually go to. So we said, if you spend some money and prove that you spend some money on shopping or on a meal in Hong Kong, and you bring us the receipt, then we will provide a subsidy towards a local tour. And this created employment for the tour companies, for the tour bus drivers, for the tour guides, for the retail shops selling the souvenirs, for the attractions themselves. So a lot of money went round, and there was a big multiplier effect. And this helps sustain our tourism sector in Hong Kong. And then we follow that up by also a spend to have staycation. So we work the hotel industry, and again, encourage people in Hong Kong to spend money and then qualify for a subsidized staycation in many hotels in Hong Kong, all the way from 6-star properties to 3-star properties. And again, this is met with a tremendous reception by the local population who really couldn't travel during this last year. So these events certainly help bolster local consumption and also help support the people who are working in our tourism industry. The airlines, the one area that I can't really help, because Hong Kong doesn't really have a domestic air travel industry, unlike a country like Japan or a country like the United States, where people actually can travel domestically. We can't. So that's the only one part that we can't really do much about. We also do a lot of mega events. So we use their physical events like our Wine and Dine, our Chinese New Year fairs, and we did that online. but it wasn't a purely logging in experience. There was a lot of logging in to watch what's going on, but there was also a lot of selling activity. So a lot of the merchants who were in our industry had the opportunity through these events to also promote their wares and their products to the online community. So it helped generate more business, again, to retailers who are hard hit during this pandemic period. And then lastly, we also engage with our trade and help them to really brush up their act in terms of service, hospitality during this period, as well as to heighten the sense of hygiene protocols to make sure that when the borders reopen, that visitors to Hong Kong feel that they're absolutely safe to come to Hong Kong. As you say, everyone is trying to get travel restarted. And everyone wants to do something to make a difference. And so all these countries are coming up with their own travel vaccine passport schemes. I think, eventually many of these schemes, I predict will merge and countries will work together. But I think vaccine passport is only one of the solutions. I think as our own Hong Kong Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development has said, our government will do anything and explore any alternative to get travel started again. I think the passport is one possibility in the armory of tools. I think getting tested prior to and after you arrive in your destination is probably another part of restarting travel. And I think all governments across the world are definitely very motivated to work together to get travel going again. So whatever it takes and however it can be done, we are for it. Well, I think short term, whilst the borders are yet to reopen, we will continue with our program of boosting domestic consumption, hotel staycations, and really getting people still to enjoy our own city. So to keep our tourism industry ticking along. I think once we begin to establish travel bubbles with neighboring countries or our neighbor mainland, then we will start a next round of major promotion efforts, which is underpinned by what we call the Open House Hong Kong program, where there'll be a lot of exciting offers and interesting new experiences which we'll be offering to our visitors to attract them to come back to Hong Kong again. Part of it will be shopping, part of it will be dining experiences, part of it will be new things that they haven't experienced before. And then at the same time, we are also engaging consultants to work on the branding of Hong Kong in the future. How do we evolve the Hong Kong tourism brand and the Hong Kong tourism experience into the 22nd century? How do we work with our trade partners in the hotel industry, in the travel trade, to really create an exciting, new and differentiated travel experience for our visitors in the future? So there are medium and long terms going forward. The most immediate market for Hong Kong would be the mainland. And the reason for that is transport links. For the tourism industry to work, we really need transportation links. And the most extensive links are, of course, with the Greater Bay Area and Guangdong province itself. There are trains, there are roads, there are buses, there are vehicles. And so when the borders reopen, that will be the most accessible source of visitors for Hong Kong. After that would be our neighboring countries within a few hours flight, because our own research shows that after COVID has subsided, tourists don't want to go very far to begin with. They want to go to safer, nearer destinations. And therefore, our neighbors in Asian countries would also be our target source markets. It's always, the glass is half full or half empty. And I think people will be cautious after we come out of this pandemic. But I think if you look at that poll just now, there were more blue bars than in the red bar. So 31% is less, but actually there were, in fact, about 7% who would say more. So I think, people do want to travel, but they will, dip a toe in the water and see how it's like. They probably go to near destinations, and they'll probably go to safe destinations. And within that safe, facilities where they feel comfortable that there will be less risk to their health and so on. But I think that traveling is part of the 21st century lifestyle. I think when some of us were young, going to a restaurant is a very rare treat. Nowadays, for people in Asia, going to a restaurant is an everyday occurrence. And I think, for people traveling, and meeting people and getting new experiences is just part of the 21st century lifestyle. I think there are some reasons for traveling other than enjoying yourself. There are family connections, people connections during this COVID period. For people in business, you really can't go and meet your customers or meet your clients. And I think that person-to-person connection is a very, very important part of the lives of people. You can do it on a screen, of course, but it's not the same as being there in person. So I do feel that, there'll be many different purposes, but people do want to travel, but of course they will start by wanting to travel to a safe destination and also safe facilities.